This year he'll select me for sure. I can feel the gears rotating in my direction. Welcome, friend. Come, join our celebration on this glorious and special day. Today is the day that Lector Naril declares a new apprentice. I've improved my botanical knowledge and skills considerably since the selection day last year. I hope he sees how much I can help him in his work. The Everwound Wellspring, a wondrous oasis in this mechanical desert. Sotha Seal created the place, but the Lector made plants grow in the metallic soil. Once every year, he distributes food and chooses an apprentice. You should come with me and see. In the past, the wellspring was accessible to everyone. Lector Naril sealed the place and started the tradition of the annual harvest and apprentice selection. Oh no, so many hopefuls. The gears just have to align in my favor. They have to.
Faithful of Sotha Seal, you may enter to collect this year's harvest in a moment, but first, I shall name my new apprentice. Sherazar, the Everwound Wellspring welcomes you as its new apprentice. The rest of you, come in and claim your portion of the harvest.
Thank the great gear. Let's go inside.
Factotums will continue to gather the harvest and bring the containers here. In the meantime, use the lift and come see our oasis. I always share a few words of advice with the hopefuls that weren't selected before I take the new apprentice under my wing. The Everwound Wellspring provides excellent opportunities for the novice apostles. You must be one of the new arrivals I've heard so much about. Everything in the Clockwork City, the soil, the flora, the fauna, it's all composed of gears and pistons and metal. It's like that everywhere. Everywhere, that is, except here. Because Sotha Seal set the wellspring in this metallic desert and blessed it with a reservoir of water. An exceedingly rare thing in the Clockwork City. He planned to create an oasis, but moved on to other projects before the task was done. We had water and a pressing need. It didn't take me long to figure out how to make actual living plants grow in this artificial soil. Now, save your questions and let me show you some of the wonders of the Everwound Wellspring. Come, everyone! Follow me into the viewing garden. My friends, the wellspring enjoyed a bountiful harvest. Let me show you how we accomplish our miracles. Simulated sunlight allows our trees to produce fruit sweeter than the orchards of Vardenfell. These pipes carry an alchemical solution that nourishes our plants. Factotums harvest the plants and pack them in special containers to keep them fresh before we distribute them to Clockwork City. We take clippings from the most robust plants to produce stronger varieties. Someday, we'll be able to grow plants outside these walls. Every season, we share our bounty and select a new apprentice from among the novice apostles. By the way, Where did my new apprentice wander off to? My new apprentice, Sherazar! Where did she disappear to? Oh, she's off to a bad start. A very bad start. And have 2 novices wandering around the Oasis unsupervised? Very well. Go find Sherazar and return to me with all due haste. Quickly now. The work of the Wellspring can't wait for an idle apprentice. That's a complicated subject, and one better left to the actual apprentices. Suffice it to say that the process involves water treated with alchemical nutrients and other solutions, as well as our simulated sunlight. That would require an even more complicated answer. Suffice it to say that we use lenses, crystals, and a unique power source to create life-giving light similar to Nern's sun. But without the apprentices, none of this would be possible. My program provides an opportunity to work outside the Clockwork Basilica, lets them try their hand at something different. Besides, keeping the Wellspring going requires a lot of bodies. You'd be surprised at what's required to make my plants grow. That's a complicated subject, and one...
This was supposed to be a special day, but it turned out all wrong. There's something not right with this oasis. Sometimes a gear slips or a cylinder throws a piston. This place reminds me of that. Specifically, I saw my old friend Shirhari down one of the corridors. When I tried to go talk to her, the factotums blocked my path. They drove me off. That's the question, isn't it? And it's the reason I have a bad feeling all of a sudden. Why restrict where an apprentice can go? And why refuse to let me talk to Shirhari? It makes no sense. No, I'd rather speak to Shirhari. I know her. I trust her. Lector Naril? He's still a stranger to me. Will you help me get past the factotum so I can talk to my old friend?
Sherazar! Oh, this one purrs at the sight of you.
It's so good to see you too, Shirhari.
You shouldn't wander the Wellspring unsupervised. It's dangerous. The factotums don't respond well to visitors they haven't been formulated to recognize. And the fabricants, they're just mean. A new apprentice? Really? But what does Shirhari know of such things? This one works in the dark and grows fungi, molds, and mosses. The Lector keeps me too busy for other concerns. Shirhari doubts there's anything sinister going on, so the seal blessed the Wellspring with water, and Lector Naril's alchemical solutions make it possible to grow plants. It's good to see Sherazar, though. We could use the help. Apprentice? Sherazar is the first new apprentice to enter the Wellspring in years. The Lector stopped selecting apprentices after poor Cathal's accident. At least, that's how this one understands things. I suppose Adrono might know differently. Idrono works with Shihari. He attempts to grow non-fungal plant life in harsh conditions. Since you're going to speak to him, could you bring along some of my mushrooms? But not the poisonous ones. He hates those. Idrono will be grateful for the fungi samples, even if he seems agitated. He gets that way during the harvest. Make sure to bring him safe ones, though. My notes can help you identify the various types we grow. No. Only the Lector can do such things. But perhaps this one has the next best thing. My plaque of safe passage. As long as you carry it, the factotums should leave you alone. Take it. It won't stop fabricants, however, so be wary of those beasts. Shihari will be fine. There is much to do right here, and the factotums are formulated to recognize me. The plaque is a precaution, for the most part. This one will get another one before the next work cycle begins.
Shihari says there haven't been any other apprentices in years. That can't be right. I saw novice Mariko enter the Wellspring last season. Let's gather the safe mushrooms and go talk to apprentice Idrono.
Detection array fully calibrated. Awareness rating 94%. Structural integrity diagnostics in progress. Detection array calibrating. Awareness rating 62%. Zero threats registered. Idling.
New apprentice.
If you can hear my voice, step to the nearest speaking tube this instant. This is Lector Naril talking to you through this speaking tube. I assume that you and Sherazar have been exploring the Wellspring. We've built something impressive here, don't you think? Other apprentices? Oh, you mean Sherazar's predecessors, the ones selected during the past few harvests. About them, well, they've been dealing with a very special experiment. Utterly secret, you understand? Certainly. Just as soon as you report to me. I must complete Sherazar's orientation and training. Some parts of the Wellspring can be extremely dangerous. I'll expect you back in the viewing garden before 3 gears click into place.
A new apprentice? How curious. And are those samples of Shirahari's mushrooms? Excellent. I've been anxious to taste the new harvest. Texture similar to guar hide. Flavor equivalent to wet moss. Not what I hoped for. Interesting question. As far as I know, no new apprentices have entered the Wellspring since Garthel's accident. But I have a bigger concern. At least Shirahari can grow mushrooms. My plants refuse to live no matter what I do. Of course, Lector Naril tasked each of us with a different experiment. I'm attempting to grow plants without the benefit of the simulated sunlight. I haven't had any success so far, but someone has to tackle the difficult experiments, I suppose. Lector Naril developed it using techniques he still refuses to share. The simulated sunlight provides nourishing energy that makes most of the plants we grow thrive. Not my plants, mind you. Oh, no, that would ruin the experiment. Otoan's been with Lector Naril the longest. She might know something more. You'll need to cross my garden to reach her. Just watch out for the blasted fabricants. They keep eating my plants and clogging up the gears. I just don't understand why my plants won't grow while Shihari and Otoan have no trouble making things bloom. It's an absolute annoyance. And so are those fabricants. Feel free to smash them to bits on your way through the garden. What's to tell? Gathal died. Happened in Lector Naril's private workshop. We're not allowed in there anymore. Now let me think. I need to figure out how to make my plants do something. Anything other than wither and die.
If you can hear my voice, step to the nearest speaking tube this instant. This is Lector Naril talking to you through this speaking tube. I had such high hopes for you, Sherazar. Why do you defy me? I see. And does this have to do with the endeavors of the Wellspring? I suppose I can't fault you for your initiative and willingness to get right to work. I just wish you would have waited before you presented yourselves to my other apprentices. Prohibited? That's a harsh word. No, we don't have any restrictions in the Wellspring. But Sherazar will have a better understanding of how things work here once she returns to me and completes her orientation and training.
Did he? My workshop isn't restricted, it's just private. You must see the necessity for a space of my own. No matter. Finish your task and we can discuss this in more detail. I have impressive plans for you and my new apprentice.
Interruptions are counterproductive. The 7th law of Gears teaches us that. Well, since you've already distracted me, you might as well tell me what you want. Idrono. His experiment was doomed from the beginning. You can't grow plants without a source of nourishing light. My plants thrive thanks to the use of Lector Naril's simulated sunlight. But I wasn't informed we were getting new apprentices. That was the practice until Gathal died. Then the Lector sealed his private workshop and gave us these experiments to conduct while he perfected his simulated sunlight. It makes our annual harvest possible. If there were other apprentices, I'd know. I suppose Lector Naril could have more apprentices toiling in his private workshop. He keeps numerous secrets, so what's a few more? You can enter the workshop through the busted vent over there. Ignorance of his rules might grant you some leeway. Lector Naril's private workshop is restricted, but I don't expect you to find anything. If he catches you snooping around, feign ignorance and beg forgiveness. What's the worst he could do? I suppose he could turn you into plant food. Lector Naril is one of the most respected clockwork apostles currently operating within Lord Set's great experiment. Every novice wants to become his apprentice, and every sentient in the Brass Fortress hopes to partake of his bountiful harvests. That's a long and complicated tale. The short form is that he was one of Sotha Seal's most trusted warrior scholars. When our great master abandoned the Wellspring for other endeavors, Naril stepped in to fill the gap. He's been here ever since. An unfortunate factotum accident happens occasionally. Sometimes the poor contraptions just get overheated and explode. That's why I prefer to work at a significant distance from the machines. Say, a good 30 paces or thereabouts.
I'm very disappointed, Sherazar. Shirhari's plaque of safe passage has been rendered inoperable. Now, return to me immediately.
Lector Naril's a clockwork apostle. He must keep meticulous notes. We need to examine them.
Transitioning to detection state 7.
That's the story of how the Everwound Wellspring was created. Lector Naril picked up where Sotha Seal left off.
Combat sequences recalculating.
The early experiments failed, even though Lector Naril perfected his alchemical solution.
Core
I
rotation
wonder how they solved the
initialized.
problem. I never knew what went into making the wellspring work. I wonder how they finally got the simulated sunlight to nourish the plants. The source of the simulated sunlight is the life force of the missing apprentices? That's horrible. We need to see what's inside Naril's private workshop.
Increasing visual clarity by 15%.
Machine! Is that the inductor? The apprentices! It sucked the life out of them! This is the Lector's simulated sunlight inductor. And just as we read in his notes, he's using the life force of the most recent apprentices to power the device. Sotha Seal would never approve of this. Never in a million clicks of the Great Gear. No. If we leave, Lector Naril will just use Shirhari or one of the others. We have to do something. We have to stop this madness. People shouldn't be turned into plant food. At least not while they're still healthy and vibrant. It's not natural.
So now you know the secret of the Wellspring. You see your role in our grand plan. Time is short. The life force of the previous apprentices is nearly depleted.
Your life force can feed thousands! Because you fail to grasp the importance of what I do.
There's nothing to be done for these poor apprentices. The inductor has drained every drop of life from their bodies. But what of Lector Naril? He cloaks his evil in good intentions. The Lector lied. He tricked the apprentices and killed them. But the machine does allow the plants to grow and provides food for the Clockwork City. I wonder, What if someone willingly sacrificed themselves to feed the people? You're right. The sacrifice is too great. Lector Naril turned Sotha Seal's dream into a nightmare. I'll work with the remaining apprentices. Together, we'll find another way for the Everwound Wellspring to help the Clockwork City.
How horrible! Those apostles, all dead?
Not just dead, drained of life to create the simulated sunlight.
Still, it's an amazing device. Lector Naril's a true genius.
A genius? Look at this, Naril's insane!
Naril's dead, and this work is an affront to Lord Set and everything he's taught us.
I won't argue that point, but you can't deny that Naril accomplished what the Clockwork Mage never quite got around to doing.
This one rejects that path. A life is worth more than a harvest. More than 100 harvests.
This isn't our decision to make. We should go before the council.
No, there's no decision to make. I'm shutting this horrid contraption down right now.
Die without the simulated sunlight!
We're the apprentices of the Everwound Wellspring. We'll figure out a way to save the plants.
You really think so? This one hopes that we're up to such a task.
We're Clockwork Apostles. Of course we can do this. Now, let's get to work.